Thank you. Good evening. Oh, amazing. Thank you. Welcome to our Thursday show. Bethiwa Johnny, thank you so much. Ven Ridlian Wambogo, thank you so much. Tumishi, Pastor Nick, thank you. I saw my sister here, Reverend Jane. Thank you so much. My sister from the other county, Reverend Maureen, thank you so much. Kindly let us know how the sound is, how the video is from your end. Today will be amazing, it will be fire. And kindly, if you can be able to share, if you can be able to share this video in your pages, I'll appreciate so much. If you can be able to tag a friend, feel free to share these. Thank you. Sholuta Nyokabi for coming in. Lydia, thank you so much. Mamshi, God bless you so much. So I'm requesting if you can be able to share this live page on your pages. Kindly do, and I will appreciate. So feel free to share even as we continue. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, I can still just saying, count me. How is sound? Someone tell us how is sound, how is video. Today will be amazing. So make sure you have your notebook. Make sure you have your pen ready as we download wisdom together. Pastor Anik Mwada, God bless you for the wonderful time that we had together, and God bless you. You're just an amazing guy. Continue serving God. Thank you. Amazing. Sounds, video, and thank you for coming in. God bless you. Someone just to tell us how the sound is, and then we'll... Okay. My director, you can tell me how the sound is from your end. If you can see a comment about it, we're good to go. Thank you. Amazing. Sound is okay. Thank you, Mchungaji. God bless you. Wow. This is nice. This is amazing. Great. I'm liking the flow here. Thank you for everybody that is watching and also commenting. Let us know you're watching from outside. Let's know where you're getting us from, and we'll appreciate that. Thank you. So tonight, my friends, my viewers, we want to discuss a very, it's a common topic, it's a common area in our show, and today we are talking about, today being our fourth Thursday, where we usually do an open talk, and we want to talk and have a discussion that will cut across all other shows that we have done in terms of our leadership, in terms of our family, in terms of business. There is the foundation of all those. So that's what we'll be looking tonight, and we want to talk about communication. And our topic tonight is how can we be able to build communication etiquette. I know majority of us watching tonight, or probably everyone that is watching to me tonight, you had an opportunity either in college, either in university. And I know majority of university and colleges, you must be able to do a communication skill or communication 101, depending on where you went to school, as a common course or what they call the common units about communication. But majority of us, when we were in school, we were not learning so that you could get the skill. Majority of us were learning so that at the end of the term, you'd be able to sit for the exam and probably get the results and be able to do the next course or move to the next class. But tonight we want to, look into it. How effective can we be in terms of communication, so that you're able to build good communication skills as a leader, good communication as a family member, good communication skills as a businessman, because two things tonight that you want to understand: that Communication is not just a matter of producing words or speaking words. There is so much into it, and that's what we'll be looking up to. Then we always say that communication is the mother of all relationship. So any relationship that you want to build, whether you with your clients, whether with your family, whether with your church member, whether with your friends, it is based and it is connected to how well you are in terms of communication. So communication, it is that important. There are people who have opened doors just through communication. There are people who have closed doors just because of communication. So when we are talking about communication, it is one of the topic that is so pertinent into my heart. It's so close to my heart when I talk about communication. And that ought to be looking this evening and this night. I also want to mention this, that people are not concerned on how much you know. People are concerned on what you're doing with what you know. Let me repeat that. People are not so much concerned with what you know. People are so much concerned with what you're doing with what you know, because what you're doing with what you know, that is where the impact comes from. So that is very important for us to start from that point, so that we understand when we talk about communication and building etiquette of communication, that's how important it is. And tonight, everybody, and me included, we need to have a place and ask ourselves. I'm going to discuss about 5 or 6 etiquettes that we need to see we have built ourselves through or about them, and see where you need to work on, so that at the end of the day you can become a great communicator. You can be able to be someone who can be able to influence people, because I have always said this, that even if you're a great leader, for you to be able to influence people, for you to be able to shape people, it depends on how you communicate. So we cannot separate a good family member with communication. You cannot separate a good leader with communication. So, and communication, it's a process. So you keep improving yourself. You keep building better versions of communication, so that you can be able to reach out to your audience well. You can be able to be impactful. You can be able to communicate effectively and efficiently, so that you can be able to get a feedback, and then that feedback can be able to help you either to get new ideas on how to improve yourself. You see, when in business and you're not able to communicate well to your customer, what will happen is you're locking a door for getting feedback. You're getting a door for where you can be able to source for more information on where you can be able to improve on your product, what is the current need for your customer. So that's how important communication is. So we cannot assume the pillar of communication in our life. And I've said that communication is not just a matter of passing words. Those words are very important. Now, when we talk about the first etiquette in terms of communicating well, it is what we call being aware of yourself. And when you've been aware of yourself, is a place where you are able to control your emotions. You're able to control yourself. You will find there are people who sometimes they have a very good message they want to pass, but either they have not been a position to, you cannot feel them in that message. You cannot feel them in that conversation. It is a cold conversation, either because they have not been able to put the emotions into it. That's why I started by saying that communication is not just words, because when you're communicating, someone will be able to feel you. I think you have had when you have a conversation with someone and they're telling you, I can feel you, I can understand you. That is a place which is far and beyond the words. Is because as you're communicating, you are so aware of your emotions, and you know where you put your emotions, you know how you'll control your emotion, so that the message can be able to reach. And so the first etiquette is being in control of your emotion. It's a place of first understanding yourself, so that you not let so much of emotion control your words. You not let your words also control much of emotions. You're able to give what is necessary, and also you're able to know this message that I'm giving, what kind of emotions do I need to attach to it when I'm communicating to, because also in terms of emotions, you also need to understand that you communicate differently to different age groups based on your emotions. If there is something you're discussing with your age mates, you'll find you tend to release more of your emotions, because they can be able to, you can be able to relate well based on your age. If you're talking to people who are below you, even if whatever you want to say is a bit emotional, you'll find you're able to contain yourself You're able to hold yourself so that at the end of the day, the people you're communicating to, they are not going to lose you, or rather, you're going to lose them in what you're communicating, and they hold on your emotions. So when you are communicating and you're working on your communication, you need to work on emotions. You need to work on emotions. You have find people who have, you are talking to people, and as you're talking to people, you're not in a position to control yourself, and either you break and you start crying and all these. And remember, most of the time when you're communicating to people, people have different way on how they decode information. At the same way, they're different decode emotions differently. So when you have an opportunity to talk to people, you must be in a position to hold yourself, so that the words you're communicating, people can be able to hear them, because the first thing, it is your words, then your emotions give them the backup. So the emotion cannot they cannot take the first place of the words. So it is your words, then you're able to put your emotions so that you can be able now to have the attention. Actually, what happened is your emotions is what is able to pull you at the attention. It's the one that captures the attention of your audience or the people you're talking to. So this evening, when you're talking to people, there are also people who communicate, and the words they are speaking to people, they are not able to put the emotions. For instance, for example, you meet someone and you tell them, I love you. So you need to put the feelings and the emotions of the word love, so that doesn't just become the mere word. When someone says that was just a mere word, it's because they never felt the emotion part of you. So your word must be well backed with your emotions, that every time you produce a word, people will be able to feel. When you're appreciating people, you're telling them, oh, you have done amazing, this is great. They must also feel the emotion part of it. When you're warning people and you're telling them this need to stop, they also need to see that serious part of you. Because you cannot tell people, we cannot entertain this, and you're laughing. Because now when you laugh, a laughter is an emotional thing. So when you are laughing and you're warning people, they will not take you serious. And that's the moment where people, they say wanna to confuse. Not that they don't confuse, is because you don't come out in your communication. And remember, here we are talking that whether you are a leader, you need to know when to employ different emotions when you're communicating, so that people can be able to feel you, and they can also be able to understand you, and there is no place of assumption. Because when words and emotions are not well married, what happens is people end up assuming probably you never met what you said, because you laugh with them, probably joked with them when you're giving that statement, and at the end of the day, they lose it. So kindly, when you're communicating, be aware of emotions. Know which kind of emotion you need to apply there. If you need to be serious, you need to know what emotion you need to apply there. If probably you're communicating something that would tend to communicate to their hearts, also make sure you're able to create a warm emotion that they also feel they are part of what you're saying. So etiquette number one, when you're communicating, make sure you're able to employ your emotions well, so that people can feel you and also can be able to understand your words. And I've said this, that the emotion backs your wordings. They give the strength to your words. They were not just mere words. They were not just a mere statement that you gave. What will make that statement to be powerful is the emotion you are called to it. If you're warning people, let them feel, even from your emotion, that was a warning. If you're appreciating people, don't just use the word, you have done well. Let them also feel that your emotion was into it. That is etiquette number one. Etiquette number two that we need to create and make sure that we're able to do this. It is your responsibility, the one who is communicating, to create a conducive environment. You choose and create a conducive environment where your message or your communication will be felt well and will be understood well. I always say this: it is not the work of the one who is, the one who is receiving the information, to try and create an environment for them to understand it well. It is your responsibility. So if you're communicating to someone, try to ask yourself, is that environment enhancing my words? You see, there are people who they will tell you everything and anywhere you meet with them. So you need to know, if that message you want to give that person, has that environment been well? For example, let me give this simple example to, in a home setup. Probably the husband of the house walks in and the husband is in the door. Now they mentioned the job the whole day, but the first thing you tell them, it's like, we don't have this and this and this. The kind of environment this person is, it is that environment that he has come from, hassles, bustles of the day. So when he comes and that is the immediate information you give, I'm telling you, however strong whatever you said, the person might not be able to pick it, because you have not created a conducive environment where probably this person will be able to feel this, the weight of the message. So when you're communicating, you need to ask yourself, have I created a conducive environment that this person can understand what I want to say? Number two, can he be able to feel and also feel as be able to feel what I'm saying, because the environment enhances what you're saying. So that is another challenge I find with people. They have a good message, but wherever they are disseminating that information, wherever they're sharing that message, it is not in the right environment. And it's the same thing. When we talk about means and also the medias of communication, you also need to find the people you're communicating to. Is that environment conducive with them? Is that message okay with them to where they are? That when you go to a hotel, they will make that ambience to be in a place where you're not in a hurry to eat another sausage, another chapati, so that you spend more. So they have created that conducive environment. You will feel comfortable. The same thing, if I'm communicating to my viewers, I must create a conducive environment where they will feel comfortable, they will feel okay in that message, they'll be able to understand what I'm saying, because the work of environment is to make your communication easier. It is to make your communication more appealing to your people, more appealing to the people you're talking to. So make sure that the environment you're communicating, it is conducive. The other person will feel okay in it. There are people you have, you have called in a meeting and you want to discuss with them, but that environment, they are not feeling comfortable. They are not feeling okay. So the message was fine, but where you are sharing that message, probably the environment does not, it speaks something else. For example, let me give this example. Probably you're a pastor and you want to meet this lady either for counseling and everything. And the hotel you walk in, the first question is, why here? Because everyone will ask that question, and that's just an example I have given. Why here? Even you're a leader and you're mentoring people who are your juniors, their place you will call them, and the first moment they walk in, they want to ask, why did you choose here? And I think you have had this most of the time, because environment dictates a lot. Environment plays the part of the non-verbal communication, but the environment will speak a lot. Even the people will take the environment. Their place will take people even before you open your mouth. It will say the kind of conversation you want to have with them. You can have a very formal environment. So the person walks in and you want to have a conversation, they will not come as a joker. If you invite those people and you have a serious agenda and you take them to a very formal, informal, setup, you find, however, formal you wanted the meeting to be, it can't. So when you're talking about environment, it is that powerful. And I've said it is you who chooses the kind of environment, because the environment, it is there. It is part of the non-verbal communication. You're communicating to that person indirect. You're communicating to that group indirect. So the leaders who are here, when you take people for team building, where you take them to, either number one, if you're in a hotel and you take them to another hotel, that hotel must be better than where they're operating. Why? Because they'll see that environment and to be a point of reference. Remember where we went. Did you see these? Did you feel things? So that also helps you. It helps you to communicate some of the things you not be able to verbalize. So that's how strong environment is. So when you're a husband and you take your wife out, you need to choose an environment that after that, either they will not be questionable about that environment, or number two, they will be like, wow, that was the best gift that you gave me, because they are feeling honored by the environment than the words. That's how strong the environment that you choose to disseminate the kind of information you want or to communicate how you want. That is how important it is. And that's why you find you will never separate the message from the environment where you're communicating. Never. So you need, and it is my responsibility as the person who is communicating to create that conducive environment for myself. Number two, for the person who, you have taken someone for a meeting or for an out and you want to communicate, but they're not comfortable in that environment. What does that mean? They're much more conscious about the environment, not giving attention to what you're sharing. So tonight, as we talk about etiquette, this is a place where I find a lot of people having an issue. Our young men, they're dating a girl, and wherever you're taking them, the hotel you're taking them, it talks so much about you. The first place someone will invite you for a meeting, it will, either the first meeting or the first engagement, the first environment you'll get into, it will tell you so much about that person. That's how strong when you talk about environment it is. When someone decides to call you for a meeting, the first place they choose you to, to meet you, that environment itself, it will say whether this person is serious, whether this person is a joker in life, whether he knows what. It will also talk about their principles and their values and their standards. That's how important, when we talk about communication, that's why I said, communication is not just words. There is a lot. And that's why I said, be in touch with your emotions when you're communicating. Know when to release your emotions, to what extent, what age group are you talking to them, can they be able to feel you, can you be able to accompany the right emotion to the right words. Then create a conducive environment, and that environment can build and support your communication or break and water down every words that you are supposed to say and you have said because of the environment. Where you take your meetings will talk so much about you. The kind of joints that you go in will talk so much about you. That's how important environment is when it comes to communication. I hope I'm clear up to that. Let me see if we are flowing well. Thank you, Beatrice. Thank you for coming in. Naomi, God bless you. Yes, what you do with what you know is what matters. Yes, that's very important. Liz, God bless you for coming in. Wow. Thank you, Seven. Hey, this is good. CK is here. Yes, at least leo wazao wameingia kazi, tunashukuru. So it's not what you know, is what you do with what you know. And that's why I've said environment is a very key element. As a leader, as even as a father, where you take your kids. Now imagine a father taking your kids probably to a bar joint, and you start telling your kids it is not right to smoke, it is not right to drink alcohol, but you have taken them to a bar. What were you communicating? What were you communicating? When you take your kids to a bar, and they can see people, walking around with alcohol, and you're telling them it is wrong to drink alcohol, then your environment is watering down what you're telling them. That's what it means. So you need to understand that anytime you want to call, when you want to communicate, even at home, see the kind of environment that you create, that someone will feel comfortable and they're not going to doubt what you say. So that at the end of the day, they don't say, you preach water and take wine, because that the environment you are in, it is not the right one. Etiquette number 3 that we need to build, it is the choice of the right words. Words are very important. Remember, when you're producing words and when you're communicating to people, remember, your words will make those people comfortable to listen to you. Number 2, you'll be able to, you must choose words that, they're able to respectful words to your audience. They're not feeling ashamed. You have find someone who is, you're giving a conversation, depending wherever you are, but people are not comfortable with the words you're producing. As a leader, you need to choose words that shows, 1, you respect yourself. Number 2, you also respect your audience. I'm very sure there is a lot of uproar in the media currently because of one, leader producing just words or, verbalizing words that probably in this show we cannot repeat. You see, that is a place where that you're communicating, but your words. And probably he was entitled to, express their grievances, express their disappointment, but the choice of words disappointed them. And there are people who have tried to correct a mistake by creating a bigger mistake through their words. And you know what? When you release a word, you cannot take it back. It doesn't matter how many apologies you're going to send. It doesn't matter how many sorries you're going to text. It doesn't matter how many sorries you're going to say. The word that you released, you have already released it. So as a good communicator, as someone that you want to grow in the ladder of leading people, as someone who want to have good relationship with friends, as someone who want to have good relationship with family members, you must pay keen to the words that you produce, the words that you speak, because words are very powerful. And I've said this in my books, that people are not built with stones and cement. People are built with words and actions. Your words can build people. Your words can communicate hope. Your word can communicate inspiration. Your words can communicate motivation. In the hardest moment of the group you're leading, in the hardest moment you have as a family, the words that you choose to speak will determine how those people are going to seek themselves to move on, or how much they're going to give up. So as a leader, as a family member, as a business person, when you walk in as a manager in that business, the words that you speak to your staffs, the words that you speak to your employees matters a lot. Even at the mistake, when they do mistakes, please don't utter words that are going to put them down. Don't utter words that they're going to, sometimes we have produced words, we have spoken words over people, even our family members, and you're like, they're asking themselves, am I good? Am I good enough? Why did he say that to me? Why did he choose to tell me that? Why did he choose to relate those words with me? So when we talk about creating etiquette, it is even those moments when you feel you are mad, you are disturbed, you're frustrated. And I've said this most of the time, when you're frustrated, when you feel anger, please reduce the words that you speak. Listen much at that time and speak less. Majority of people have said words when they are, they're frustrated, they're disappointed, and they release words. And they may create another problem. Now, the frustration they were going through, they create another bigger frustration for themselves and to the people they were communicating. Even when you go through frustration in life, learn to communicate with yourself first. And I've said this, most of the time before you speak to people, speak to yourself. Before you can tell people something, tell yourself that thing and feel it and understand it, and then put yourself in the shoes of the people you're communicating to. And ask yourself, if I was in that end and someone communicated this in the same manner, use the same word to describe me, or use the same words to describe what I have done, will I be comfortable? Will I feel okay? Because that is the best place of communication. It is first communicate to yourself, feel it, understand it, then release it. You cannot give what you don't have. When you have find people, using harsh words, they have an issue with anger, they have an issue with bitterness. When you have find people producing words that you're not comfortable in, either probably they have an issue with character, either probably they are people who have, they have gone through so much in life, and probably that's the environment they have grown in, and that's what they speak. You have find kids who probably they have a loose tongue. Why? Because the family where they're coming from as parents, and their father and their mother, that's how they talk. Have you find people, although we are coming to that, they keep shouting, and why they're shouting? Because that's how they have been brought up. So when we talk about choosing words as a leader, as a family member, as a business person, you need to have a moment with your words and listen to the words that you're speaking, and also use words that someone is not going to assume whatever you said you meant something different, because you have find people using words and people cannot get them right. And then you have seen these guys who can either probably have been given platform to talk, either in seminars, in workshop, and you have not done a very good study of the people that you're talking to. And you keep, at one moment you drop a new vocabulary, another one you have a new vocabulary. At the end of the day, you have lost your audience, because before they would either Google to get the meaning and connect with the sentence so that they can build. So most of the time I have told people, use the principle, the key principle in communication. Keep it simple, keep it simple and short. When you're communicating to people, use the simplest language you can be able to use, as long as it has decorum, it has respect, it's able to observe different ages to people you're communicating, and they will feel you communicated to them. Make sure before you get an opportunity talking to people, do a good background research of the people you're talking to. Understand their education background. Understand their exposure. So at the end of the day, I'll find great people given opportunity to speak, but the message they were delivering could not connect the people. And vice versa is the same. So when you have that moment to choose words that are right, they respect. There's a full of respect into this. In them. Number 3, use words that are able to encourage a conversation. Words when people feel they want to flow with you. Words that are captivating attention. Words that are able to let your people feel along with what you're saying. They don't get bored. Are we together, my great friends? Words are very important. And underline this. People are not built with cement and stone. They are built with words. Can we learn to communicate positive words? And I have said this in my book, in my leadership book, that don't be defined by situation. Don't speak according to the situation. Speak according to where you want your people to go. Even in family, when there is a lot of challenge, don't speak words that are giving the situation more strength and more glory. Speak words that will, tomorrow, you'll be accountable for those words. If you're leading a group and even probably they're going through hard moments, don't speak words that are going to encourage the situation. Speak words that are contrary to situation and they'll create a better picture. When you speak something to people, that's why the Bible says in Romans 10:17 that faith comes by hearing and hearing the word of God. If you're able to have a place of speaking, what happens is you create a culture of hearing, and whatever we hear, it's able to create a foundation of thinking. The moments when we think, it's based on what we have heard. It triggers our mind to start thinking towards that dimension. That's why when we talk about hearing and listening, there is a much different, because hearing, it is the act of the ear, but listening, it is the employment of everything within you, the mind, the attention of the eye, the attention of the ear. It is the whole thing. So when you talk about listening, it's a whole of you. So when you keep talking to people good words, what you're doing, you are graduating them just from hearing to listening. And when you talk about listening, you engage their thoughts, you engage their emotions, you engage their feeling. So now from there, they'll be able to move with you from one level to the other, and they can give you a feedback. That will find there are people who have communicated either in office, whether in their leadership position, the same thing for the last 2 years and never change. For example, let me use reverends because I have a number of them here. The reverends who have always been complaining in their churches about time management. And not 1 year, not 2 years, not 3 years. The same thing, the same way. And of course, what will happen? The same results. There are managers who have complained of people hitting deadlines. And they have never broken into that. It's like a chain. It became actually their song. Why? Because as you're communicating, you need to understand, am I using the words that people can understand? Am I able to employ my feelings and emotion into them? Am I able to employ the seriousness that it deserves so that they can be able to? So every time you're choosing your words, you need to understand the people you're communicating to. Number 4, the etiquette that we need to build, it is choosing the right tonal expression. Your tonal expression, it's very important. And you know what? When you have the right environment, when you have the right words, you have the right emotions, your tone, it is everything. How you speak to that person. You can speak strong words, but with a tone that shows respect. Tone shows respect for yourself and the person you're talking to. I have found people shouting in a matatu asking for their change. Umekaa kule nyuma, kangia kopale na anasikia. And then you keep shouting and probably you're asking for a 20 shillings only. And you have to shout. Even guys have to look into. You have guys in a matatu picking their phone. It's like they're addressing a public rally. Your tone. Who said that you have to shout for people to hear? And other people talk with, a shaking tone. If you're talking something that you are okay with it, be confident. Choose the right tone for the right message. But most of the time I have found people, and brethren, brothers and sisters, if there is somewhere we need to work on, is the place of the tone. Your tone is everything. Actually, your tone dictates and speaks a lot about your personality. It talks much about what you have gone through. Actually, let me tell you, any person given a platform to talk, listening to their tone, you'll be able to feel what they have gone through in life. Even if they have not opened their mouth, even if they have not shared whatever they have gone through, you will hear. And someone who is sharp in communication will be able to pick. You'll be able to feel this person have confidence in whatever they are saying. And that's when you find people going into into interviews. The first thing probably those people interviewing you, they're going to look, it is the confidence of how you walk in, and the other thing they'll look at is how you're speaking. If you're shaky in your voice, if you're shaking your words, they're like you're not comfortable with what you're saying. I have found people who stand and from nowhere they lose even their voice because they're not comfortable with, or rather they're not confident in themselves with whatever they're saying. And because I know I'm talking to great leaders tonight, work on your tone. Know when you need to raise your tone, when you need to use it low, when you need to put it constant. But please never shout to people. Even to your kids, don't shout with them. I know ladies and even some men, we have an issue with the shouting. And you know, because of the hustling nation that we have today, everybody is shouting. Says you can get out. It's a lot of noise. It's like we go home with the same spirit of shouting. Town, when you cross to town at this moment, everybody is shouting from guys who are selling, from kanges. So probably by the time we are getting home, we are carrying the same spirit of shouting. And I pray probably when you get into your doorstep, before you get in, you can whisper, pray and tell God, I don't want to get into my house with the spirit of shouting. Because your tone talks a lot. It communicates a lot on what you're saying. So brethren, my friends, I want to challenge ourselves and see how is your tone when you're communicating. Number two, also, you'll find when you talk about tone, it will tell you your emotional stability. And that's why I've said we need to be self-aware of ourselves. Self-identities are key, because someone who has spent much time with knowing themselves, so much time of understanding themselves, they know how to separate their personal, emotional, and personal challenge in communication. They're able to see, where do I need to put a gap? That in my tone, even if whatever I'm speaking is what I'm going through, I can be able to separate. Majority of the time you'll be able to find when someone is communicating, they also want to put whatever they're going on a personal level. And you know what? Probably in office that you hold, you need to separate your things to the office. And tone is very important. Tone is very important. So I've said tonight, in building etiquette, kindly be aware of your emotion. Know where you need to put your emotion. Because when you're able to deal with the emotion as you're communicating, you're going to let the other person come in, give a feedback. You're going to give time for people to think your message. You're going, someone have texted you, and when I say this, someone have texted you, but because you're not able to control your emotion, you can write like 10 texts. And you want that person, it's like unatuma. How do you expect the other person to gather information, decode it, process it, and at the same time, be able to give your feedback? Allow people. And the moment you find people fighting is because someone is not able to deal with their emotion in their communication, and they're too fast and they want the other people to be like them. So the moment you're able to deal with the emotions, you're able to be stable. What you do, you communicate, give people opportunity, whether it is your children, give them the opportunity to understand your message, give them room to think about the message, and also allow them to give a feedback. Some of us are like in the army. They're like jump. When you're up there, so that's a moment you need to ask, how high am I supposed to go? But the moment you have emotional, understanding, emotional control, emotional intelligence, that you can be able to control emotions, you can be able to contain them. When you communicate, however hard it is, however frustrated you are, you also allow the other person a moment and a time to be able to take the information, think about it, and give feedback. I hope everyone tonight have a moment of creating a good emotional understanding. Create a conducive environment. And I've said this, the person who is communicating, make sure you create a conducive environment. If you're talking to your staffs about time management, create a conducive environment that will feel whatever you are saying has been enhanced with the environment. It is not the work of the people you're talking to create an environment. It is your work as the person communicating, as the one who has a message to pass across. It is your responsibility to create conducive environment. Choose the right words. Make sure you're communicating through words that will show respect, will be able to show your values, will be able to show you who you are, because words are very important. And I've said, words can give people hope. Words can be able to change people. The words you can speak to a person who you're talking to in terms of change, in terms of character, and the words that you choose, that person will have a moment to reflect, a moment to think through what you said. And number 4, let's use the right tone. I've said this. Know when to raise your voice, know when to lower your voice, know when you use your your voice at your tone at medium, and also understand there are people who they have not able to understand how to distinguish when you're talking to different age groups. When you're talking to your peers, there is a way you put your tone. When you're talking to your age, to people who are older than you, there is a kind of a tone that you show that shows respect. When you're talking to people that are below you, there is a tone that you talk to show discipline and mentorship. So you also need to work on your tone so that your tone will be carried through. You need to know when given a platform to talk to a mixed age, how do you cut across in terms of the tone so that everybody will go home with their punchline. Everyone will go home with their point because you are able to address to them. Given 10 minutes, and you're a good communicator, you'll be able to carry all your audience and they will feel there is something you're communicating. I hope tonight I have communicated as I talked about communication, and I want to see what is your feedback here. And also I'm looking forward to see your comments on what we are learning through. Wow, thank you. Hey, Baba Prince Evangelist, thank you so much for coming in. George Getonga, my good friend, thank you. And say hi to Mama Winnie. Masewamboi, thank you. Wow, the good guys are here. Reverend Winnie, I appreciate. Thank you, Mama. Yes, Evans, thank you for coming in. Wow, this is great. I wanted to see whether there is any question or any query that has been highlighted, and there is none. I want to summarize my presentation tonight and say this, that everything that we speak here, it is in the purpose of building us. You might not have an issue with with emotional control, you're okay. You might have, you find yourself, you're good in creating good environments. You see you have good words, but you have an issue with the tone. So this is a place of reflection. It's a place where you sit down and evaluate yourself, see where there is a miss, see what you can do. So by the end of the day, you're able to grow. Remember we said this is a well show where we need to be well. We need to be well in communication, because when you work on your communication, you're going to make sure that you're able to get the best out of every relationship. When you are able to communicate well, you are able to get feedback. I see I have great people here. Communication will always help you to get ideas. Communication will always help you to break from the things that you're going through. It is through communication. So communication is that powerful. And I know next week we are going to look healing from communication, how we are able to heal from communication. So we must be able to understand how to communicate well. And I've said this, have a moment to speak to yourself. Have a moment. Before you talk to people, call yourself a meeting. There is one thing that I do. Anytime I have a moment to go and do presentation, I must take that presentation and present it to myself and ask myself question, and also ask myself if this is how my audience will feel. Will they feel comfortable? Will they feel good? Next week, we're going to look at dressing, because also dressing is part of communication, because the way you dress Either it's going to water down your words or it's going to build you and empower your words. So you cannot dress anyhowly. You cannot, you want to communicate something serious and you come with a t-shirt or vest. And you are here, you are communicating to serious people, and you think they're going to take you serious. Image is very important in communication. Actually, I always say this. Before people, they can buy your words, they buy you first. Your first impression will determine how people will want to listen to you. So you cannot dress anyhow. And that's why I've said, people listening to me tonight, you also need to work on your wardrobe, depending on where you are, depending on the people that you engage with, depending on the exposure that you have. Your dressing will always emphasize, will always show seriousness on what you're communicating, or we take you a joker. And sometimes there are people, they have listened to you, and that's why I say there must be a marrying on how you have dressed and your words. There are guys who are very smart, but they open in their mouth, you're like, And there are people who are like, you cannot respect them. But the moment they open their mouth, you're like, there is a full of wisdom. Please don't make people doubt whether he's the one who's talking. Sure, there must be standard. There must be, a synergy between your dressing and your words. Because I have said these are my parting words. Dress the way you don't want to be addressed. And also dress the way you want to address your people. Dress in a way that you're dressing can capture your people. They will feel comfortable to have an eye contact. There are guys who have stand before you talking to. Yes, you don't want to, you don't want to look at them direct because you are feeling embarrassed. You're like, no, I think I could. So let's be comfortable. Let me give an example. You get a lady who dresses a skirt and the skirt is short and you cannot do anything, and probably you have a panel and you keep pulling your skirt. You cannot multiply the material. Whatever the fundi did based on your will, it was done. So anytime you have a platform talking to people, make sure that your dressing is on point. When you're walking in, you're comfortable. Actually, I have said this in the class of public image and public PR, that anytime you're not comfortable the way you have dressed, it also affects your delivery. It also helps you on cognitive process. Because most of the time you always be conscious. What are they thinking about me? What are they saying about me? So be comfortable with the way you have dressed. Let's make sure that it adds you weight. It elevates your words. There must be a marrying between your words and your dressing. Let people not question your words against your dressing. Let people not question your dressing against your words. That's my parting shot. God bless you. Keep sharing this message. Keep tagging your friends. Keep talking about the Well Show. Let's make noise in our pages. And I'm requesting just a simple request. When you are doing this show, kindly share it live in your page. That's the best thing we can make this known, because there are people who will come into your page and they're going to see this show, and eventually they'll be able to join and can be able to flow. I'm trusting you as you trust me. We are able to build this show together. Thank you so much. God bless you. Looking forward to see you next week. It will be fire. It will be amazing as we do the last show of this month. Keep tab. Keep the Well Show. Sam, another coach. Love you so much.